Alright, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 5 for the CB750 build, Project Loki. This entire video is all about the teardown of the front forks. So, they're actually a girder front end. It's ridiculously long and ridiculously stuck. So, you'll see here in a minute, it took almost 2 weeks probably to get that thing to come apart. And it's a mess. So, stick around, let's get into it. So, the most recent project for this evening was going back through and ripping the entire front end apart. Mainly because I needed to get to the brakes on the chopper front wheel because I wanted to see if they worked. I got to get all these guys unseized because right now I can't actually get the girder arms off. They are stuck, and I think I had to use heat to get the front axle out. I'm probably going to have to do something similar for the girder ends, but the tire's out, so that's something. Tire's actually in pretty decent shape, I guess. Well, wheel, I should say, not tire. The only thing that isn't so much is this little guy. So that's a bearing in there that probably needs to get replaced. This is all rusty on the inside. Just need to go and clean that up. So that actually right there is for the brake disc, brake drum that was in there. And the brake drum, as you can see, is pretty well roached. So there's one of the pads that just completely came off when I opened it up. Everything in here is kind of not seized, but it's very, very stiff. So it might as well be seized. Then we had the lug nut. This is from left to right when you're riding the bike. Lug nut, then the girder arm would go right here. You have a little spacer. Then you have, this is the wheel speed sensor, which I don't think actually functions currently. I think it's missing some of the internals. This is some weird ghetto spacer that was on the inside. And it was supposed to keep the axle stationary, but you can see it's not big enough. So it's just taking up space. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, because it doesn't really contact anything. It just kind of rides in there and just fell out as soon as I opened everything up. Then we got the axle, which I need to clean up. We had a little washer on that side, another spacer, and then the other axle nut. So, I've got a bunch of these coming in the mail. These are the rest of the little girder acorn nuts. I just ordered a full set of new ones because I kind of feel like I'm probably going to mess these up when I'm doing stuff to it, but that's where we're at currently. I installed the tack, so it is there. It's just not, I don't have a good spot to affix it to yet. And then I also found the speedo and hooked that up, but like I said, I don't think the actual wheel speed sensor, or whatever, the mechanical wheel speed sensor, I don't think that this thing actually functions currently. I can't find any little internal parts that are actually going to be moving, so it probably doesn't work. I might just need to get a new one, or guess what my speed is. We'll see. But that's where I'm at. Front wheel is taken off. I'm going to go through that. Once I'm finished with that, I really don't want to mess with the rear end, but I kind of have to, because these, I don't know if you can see all these. These are all individual washers. That side has a spacer. This side has individual washers, which is super neat. So, like I said, on to brakes. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so this has been an additional fun challenge throughout the entirety of this build. The previous builder loved putting whatever fit. I think it's basically a hardware bike at this point. I'm not saying I'm making it better because I got a couple of Harbor Freight Tractor Supply style parts on there as well. But this guy liked putting a lot of them. So pretty much 90% of the screws have extra spacers, extra washers, and so on. So as I'm doing the build, those are coming off, but I'm having to put some of them back on temporarily in order to make time so I can go and get actual spacers made. We'll get to it. It's just trying to get rid of the hardware store that is still left on the bike. Back at it. Okay, so I know this is going to look like it's a step backwards, but I promise it's not. I've been working on this whole afternoon after I got done with work on the front end of the chopper, and I got the girders off finally. As you can kind of see from a lot of this, like everything is super stuck still. I'm working on trying to get all these little bushings and stuff out. That little guy there, that one's still stuck. That one came out. I got so much different, like they're all different. Everything's different on both sides. And now you can kind of see, so the part that I've got here, you can kind of get an idea of just how effed all these things are. So that was basically why it was fused into the inside, and it still kind of is. This one won't come off of the bushing won't come off. In addition, this guy was the biggest pain in the ass. So normally it sits like this, and then this is the lower attachment point. None of this part swivels. As you can kind of see, I had to butcher it just to get it to come out of those little guys. So I'm debating now what to do. If I want to replace the whole spring, it looks like it's like a suspension spring, some big spacers, and then a rod just like the rest of it. But this rod will not come out. I've soaked it for like 48 hours. I've tried heat. I've tried everything, and it won't come out. So I'm debating just cutting it and getting new spacers, or something. So we'll see. I don't actually know. But that's where we're at right now. I'm about to start taking this guy apart to try and figure out what those brakes are. I'm pretty sure they're off of a mini bike. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Okay, back at it again. So here's kind of where we are with the girder. It's completely disassembled. I've taken these out. It looks like only one side actually comes off, like this bolt over here. This one unscrews. This one does not. I think it's actually intended to just go in one way and basically be a pretty looking bolt. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep it that way or not. The spring, this thing is still jammed all to hell. Haven't been able to fix it. I have been using the drill press right there behind me as kind of like a redneck lathe thing. So I've been using it to grind away excess material on this. I found new what they call flange bearings. So that's what these little copper / bronze looking things are that fit in the ends of this guy. So here are the old ones. This is the one that got all roached. These are the new ones that I got from Tractor Supply. They are, I don't know what they're for, and I assume tractors of some sort. But I got those replaced. So next thing I'm going to be doing is just cleaning up all the girder components, making sure that's all good to go. And then I can reassemble those with the new flange bearings, now that I know what those are, and then get that guy together. I do still need to probably get this bolt remade, because it's just totally donezo. You can kind of see it there. I don't know if I can get those spacers off. Still haven't been able to get them. Gonna try. And then I also replaced this front. So now I'm using a full top clamp instead of just the risers. So now it goes across the whole thing. It seems to hold it a lot better. It's a lot sturdier than it used to be. And that's where we're at. So gonna start doing cleanup, and then if I can get all the components, reassembly. If not, I'll have to go and get that spring portion chopped up, remade, something to make it work, and we'll go from there. I think that's about it. Yep. Okay, so continuing work on the chopper. I didn't show up because I was just whacking away at stuff with hammers and presses and whatnot, but I already showed these guys coming out, but I didn't show their counterparts going in. So what you can kind of see, right Nope, right there. I pressed in the little brass bushing, or bronze, or whatever the heck bushings. So they're back in. All these threads for all of the pieces are all cleaned up. Everything's pressed in the way it should be. Everything is nice and tight. And now I'm about to start overheating this and hammering the snot out of it. So there will be a second part of this once I actually either break everything or break it apart. So, more to follow. All right. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the CB750 build project. Yeah. So, those forks, well, the girder, I guess, gives me a ton of issues. It's neat, but this is what happens when you let old parts sit for a long time. Eventually, they decide to be one part instead of multiple parts. So, stick around, deal with it more on the next episode. But as always, like and subscribe if you like it, and leave me some comments. I need suggestions. Thanks in advance.